We're live and we're local.
Yes.
We're on the 8s.
No.
I like the gentle affirmation. Yes. We are live.
Yes. Yes.
All right, guys. So
today's a very special day for us.
About a place that we love.
Yeah, we decided that between the three of us, Bonnaroo Music Festival in Tennessee, always been a thing that we've went to. Let's see, what's our combined experience here?
Oh God, I mean, I've been 10 times now. I think
10.
Yeah.
So that means Jessica, you're at 12.
I think I'm at 12. Yeah,
that puts me
this
at
will be
8.
12. Yeah.
So yeah, 30 years experience.
Yeah, guys. Of Bonnaroo, 30 man years, person years.
That's wild.
Yeah, so welcome to Cone Glow, Bonnaroo edition.
We're old.
Yeah. So we've got 12-year veteran JT. We've got 10-year veteran Dark Dome.
Yep.
Holmes 504 here, adding 8 years. Still in the single digits.
The baby.
Yeah, I feel ashamed.
Yeah. You should. As you should.
No, this will be fun though, guys. I mean, I think we're just going to do a general Bonnaroo primer here. So yeah, I think it'll be a good time. Like it's something we all agreed that not only do we love, but obviously with all this experience, I feel like we all agreed that there's tons of little tips and tricks and little things that just general opinions that perhaps, there's always these people asking about, well, it's not just Bonnaroo, but, festivals in general. Like, what do you do? And like, what's this? And how do you do that? And what's I heard XYZ. So hopefully we're going to try to get out to all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, we're going to try and take our 30 years of experience, condense it into a 45 to hour-long minutes
to 2
session.
Hours,
Yes.
I don't know.
But just as a general housekeeping thing, we're going to divide it up into 2 sections. For those of you that are Bonnaroo veterans that have been in this, don't need to hear any of our tips.
Yeah, you go to music festivals summer long. Yeah, you
skip
don't
to
need
part
this
2
shit.
where we're going to just be focusing on what the music is and what we're going to do, the acts that we'd like to see, some hidden gem stuff. So if you want to go straight to that, skip to part 2. If you want to but this part 1, we're going to do just like our general, what you should bring, just some tips for what has worked well for us in the past.
What we've learned over the years,
Yeah, camping, travel, clothes, general experience. I feel like is the goal.
Gonna handle some Bonnaroo myths, things that you might think is true that might not.
Like the bees on the left side of the stage. Everybody knows about the bees.
Exactly. And like the whole, we'll get into it, but and then one of the last things, just like what's new, what's returning, just some general stuff to get out. What's Bonnaroo, what's outside of Bonnaroo. And so that's going to be our first section. We're going to jump into that now. Guys, I think I want to start with just a general survival guide. Like, what can you not live without at Bonnaroo?
Just general items.
Any
kind of item.
Any kind of item you can find.
Yeah, just stuff that if you got to Bonnaroo and you started unpacking your stuff and you were like, oh my God, I can't believe I forgot.
Yeah. I would say like wet wipes of some sort, like any kind of like towelette kind of thing, like face wipes is pretty crucial.
Hygiene is going to be a struggle.
I will say and also I want to point out, guys, that even despite our 30 years, like we still make mistakes and we're not claiming to be like the Bonnaroo masters, and this is just our way of going about it. So everyone's Bonnaroo is different. We're not claiming to be like the overarching, like we fucking perfected Bonnaroo.
Oh, I am.
But I mean, we have learned some stuff. But I will say, that being said, last year I kind of did fuck up that part because I didn't get like facial ones, like nice ones for your eyes and stuff. And I ended up getting ones that were, like had alcohol in it, which is fine for like the rest of your body or whatever, any kind of like thing like that. But I had to straight up take off my like eye makeup with something with alcohol in it, which that was a straight up fail. So yeah, I've learned that's actually one of the worst things not to have. Whoopsie.
I agree. Something like that. I mean, I always think like, so when I first get there, I mean, wet wipes is a good one, but strangely enough, I don't know how much you guys would agree with this, but zip ties. If there's like zip ties,
yes,
you know, things can get hairy quickly because it's something that I feel like people remember to some degree. Like, oh, you have bungee cords, you have some zip ties, but bring even
more zip ties. Yeah.
Like for every, you know, I mean, it depends. If it's just you and the, you know, one pop up in a tent, and you know, maybe you can get by with not that many, but still, I would, zip ties like that. It keeps the camp together. I mean, bad weather, you can like really do more than maybe you would do normally. You can like you know, we call it like, you know, just locking the tent down, locking the site down, just ratcheting down all the stuff. Because I mean, you have to. Like Bonnaroo is usually we get some bad summer storms, and so. You know, you bust out the zip ties and you just.
This reminded me of when you were by yourself at Firefly. I just started laughing to myself about that. Anyways, that's not about Bonnaroo, but
we can tack that on at the end because we learned a valuable lesson that year. I did, but zip ties for me. Like as far as because you know when you get there, you roll in. For all you newbies who've perhaps never done this before, you get through your security and you're in your car for hours because you've been sitting in a line that you can't really get out of. And
sometimes you roll right in there. You never.
Or sometimes you roll right in there. But come on, I mean, typically speaking,
usually it's hours of line. Yeah.
But you know, whatever. Regardless, you get there, you get your tent out, you know, start throwing some stuff out. You're easy up or whatever that we'll talk about later, and then zip ties because it's like one of the very first things. And I always have this moment where I'm like, oh God, did we forget the zip ties? Like, where's the zip ties? Because I always put them in some dumb spot because I'm dumb. So definitely tripling down on the zip tie answer.
Yeah. My one thing that I just can't live without are spray bottles. I love having spray bottles because let me tell you about how much I enjoy these. First off, it gets hot. Like, I mean, that's the main thing. It is hot there, and especially if you're in the sun. And so just having a quick where you could fill your spray bottle in the cooler water is kind of whatever. But anyways, it's ice cold. And just spraying yourself down is just a good way to not overheat, which is a real issue there. And it's just generally relaxing. It feels good. You can cool off really easily with them. And secondly, and this is kind of a bonus thing, is when you're in a crowd during a show, if you have a spray bottle, it's like you're the VIP. The people love you.
Yeah.
And
so you can get anywhere you
it's
want.
Like you're a god.
Crowd mobility is helped greatly by having a spray bottle because people are hot. They're in their thing. They're not thinking about it, and you just come along and start spraying people down.
They're like, sometimes they'll look at you like you've actually saved their life.
Yeah, I mean, this I think is actually a huge tip here. This is like because this isn't just like camping and cleaning. It really is like you know, anytime you spray somebody. I mean, if you're deep in the crowd, say at one of these big headliners, you know, and some people have been out there for hours, or you're, you know. And you're just, again, we're talking about Jared was talking about how hot it is. You really can. I mean, that's a big thing that some people worry about. It's like, oh, I can't get through the crowd. I can't get up there. Or I get really nervous when I do get locked in the front of a crowd because I can't get out. Almost all of that disappears with a spray bottle. Like it's, you put it on mist, you know, and you just go and you just kind of worm your way through and just blast people, and they love it. Like, I mean,
it's even better if you have one of those ones that's like a little fan too. But like even just one without that is still good. So
no, it's incredible, and you'll only understand why it's so incredible if you're caught in a crowd and you feel like your skin is about to just bust on fire, but you're also soaked in disgusting sweat of yourself and other people, and then somebody comes by and just hits you with some water. Like it's magical. So
and guys, I'm not gonna lie to you. I have different spray bottles for different occasions. Okay, I've got a campsite spray bottle that's got a really wide spray.
Yeah, that's where you need the big guy.
That's where it's almost a mist. You want the mist to cool down. I've got one that's got some range on it. It's almost like a super soaker. Like I can like get people, which is also really fun in a crowd to try and get somebody a little water.
Yeah. Surprise them from afar.
Yeah, I never do it in a mean sense. Like, you know,
you can tell
I'm not trying to bother people, but you know, you can obviously tell who will have fun with it. But yeah, I've got small ones, I got big ones, I got ones with fans on them. You know, I got spray bottles. Crazy. I couldn't live without them.
Oh man, I can't believe I'm this hyped up this early in the episode just talking about spray bottles. Man, I'm ready to go because that's such a real tip. Zip ties and wet wipes are like, please don't sleep on those two things, but just how hilariously true water bottles is because it's, bring water bottles, kids.
If you forgot to bring a water bottle, like your water bottle into Bonnaroo. You don't feel like buying an expensive new bottle of water. Like, you can drink out of it.
Yeah.
Just fill it up with water from the thing.
Yeah.
Jared and I have been doing that the last few years, and it's actually like pretty clutch.
Yeah, it cuts down on what you have in your pack or whatever. It's I'm telling you guys, it's like that Boz Luhrmann, talking about sunscreen, which by the way, is needed.
Sunscreen is like,
it's like, if I can tell you one thing in my experience, bring a spray bottle.
Real sunscreen also is like next highest on a thing.
Yeah, so
and even if you're one of those people that's like, oh, I don't need sunscreen, I tan, blah blah. Like, no, literally, you're gonna be in the sun for like so many hours.
Yeah, and why worry about it?
That's crazy. Just put on some damn sunscreen. like
wear a big hat,
Yeah.
Yeah, and then just in general, if you guys want to just talk about, not just that one important thing, but just anything kind of off the top of your head that you can think of. I mean, I got some stuff written down, like clothes for all seasons. Because sometimes it gets cold.
Really cold at night.
Sometimes it's raining. Sometimes it's really dusty. I mean,
it's very muddy.
I will say that my galoshes have been hella clutch in the last year. Since I got those. Oh my gosh, they are so good to have, because you never know if it's going to be a year that really rains. And there's then there becomes these little tracks of things where people can only walk in certain parts because there's such big puddles.
Right. Yeah.
But if you have on rain boots, you can go anywhere. You can go everywhere. And people are all sucked into these tiny little bottlenecks, and you can just stomp right on by them into the.
Yeah, that's true. It shows as well, because sometimes shows will develop puddles and muddy spots where people don't want to stand, and they have, I mean, of course it doesn't necessarily mean that they will be, but they have been, in our experience, sometimes in good spots, and nobody was in there. So you just walk right up and it's like, well, this is
some of my best views have been because of that. Because it's like all of a sudden there's no one around you, and you can stand there and no one else can. Oh yeah.
Yeah. So definitely clothes for all seasons. And I mean, I think we're probably about to start dumping all kinds of ideas, and I think we're also going to be of the same mind that you do want to be very prepared, but also, like they were saying earlier, use your water bottle or drink out of your water bottles, or your spray bottle that you have, use that, maybe duplicate that into a water bottle, and, bring galoshes that maybe you can wear more times than others, or boots that you can wear both sunny and, don't just bring, a million things, but
you don't need that many things. Just be smart about it.
Yeah, but you're definitely going to be out. I mean, it is camping. I mean, so, think along those lines, but don't just bring 2 pairs of shoes, or 3 pairs of shoes, and then, then also a pair of flip-flops, and then also a pair of whatever. And then, it's just try to, when we start throwing all these things out, think about how you can collapse them down and make it work for you, because I think
this year,
and use your other people. Like if you're camping with other people,
talk to each other.
One person can buy a big thing of sunscreen. Not everybody has to buy their own set of sunscreen.
It's lots of sharing and caring type of situation.
Use your campmates to help you out with a lot of this stuff.
Right.
If you have the same size shoes, one of you can bring, or maybe not.
Maybe not shoes, but
but anyways, use your campmates.
Well, I have actually borrowed people's shoes.
No, of course, and
So
some of my other little tips that I love, that is a pair of flip flops or something that only is for camp, like something that you can put on and take off your otherwise very dirty shoes, and you wear only in your camp. Because if you're somebody who
I've never
wants
done
to be. Yeah, I do all the time. But if you just somebody who doesn't care to be barefoot, or doesn't care to wear sandals most of the time anyway, or whatever, of course. But you guys know I wear flip flops all the time. Yeah. But I usually, even so, if I do wear them, I keep I try to make let of course not let those get super dirty, because they're flip flops. If they get stuck in mud, they're gone. But I like to keep house shoes, if you will, just to for whatever reason. And other stuff is bandanas, big hats.
Bandanas. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, bandanas.
That's really high on the list. Yes.
Yeah, we always, each of us probably bring 2 or 3 bandanas.
Jared and I bring 10.
Yeah.
Yeah, just because they fit into anywhere. I mean, that's you can wear them.
And you can put them in the water and put it on your head, on your face, on your neck.
And if I can just take a minute to just make a point real quick, is that a lot of the things that we're going to be talking about, a lot of the stuff that we're mentioning as tips and whatnot, the overall theme is just taking care of yourself.
Yes, absolutely.
You got to take care of yourself when you're out there, because it's going to ruin your time if you're not doing it. Like after the second or third day, you're head burnt from head to toe.
Sunburn.
Or sunburnt. Yeah. Sorry. If you're sunburnt from head to toe, I'm a bit dyslexic. Sorry. And your
cone's all burnt up.
Right. Like you don't want to be there you don't want to be having a bad time by Saturday.
Right. It doesn't make any sense.
Right.
A lot of this stuff is just take care of yourself.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
anyways.
And think about right. And a lot of it then is like the elements that you're contending against are heat and sun. So you'll hear us say a lot of things about, get bandanas, get hats, get this, get that, get a bandana that you can dip in water and then cool off, because your biggest enemy at Bonnaroo is the heat and exhaustion from
and at night the cold too.
And the cold, yeah. But
I know everyone's probably thinking, if you haven't been there, you haven't been in that part of Tennessee in the summer, like, how fucking cold.
Oh no, it's cold.
It can get really cold. Like, we're not joking.
Your breath at some time.
Yeah.
Take it from somebody who has made that mistake pretty much every year for some reason. I have lived lots of my Bonnaroo years or hours freezing to death in the middle of the night, like clinging to a towel or something else that I may have brought with me because I don't have any hoodies or pants or literally anything that would keep me warm. So don't be me. Don't do
that.
I have gotten better the last couple of years. I bring usually what I've been doing is I'll just bring one sort of nice rain jacket, like one of the really, really thin ones. And it's like just enough to keep me warm at night and kind of curl up in it. It also doubles for, of course, bad weather. And I mean, I don't usually mess with any like sort of pants or anything. I mean, other people can if you're naturally cold, but to me, just sort of one of those very sheer rain, whatever you call them, like little jacket deals is good enough.
I have to be very careful about it because I get really cold and I'll straight up like go back to the camp in the middle. So if I'm that cold, like I get too cranky about it or something.
Right, which is our point here.
Like, I have to be very, if you're a cold-blooded person, okay? And if you are, bring some goddamn blankets and hoodies into
keep yourself
thing.
comfortable. That's what's important. Keep yourself comfortable, because you're going to be able to enjoy the shows. And this
with shoes, another pro tip I would say is do not bring a bunch of shoes that you haven't worn before, thinking you're going to let me go to Bonnaroo with these sandals or whatever that I got last week. No. 100% that's the worst thing that you could do. You're going to have blisters all over your feet.
I made that
and you're going to be
year.
so unhappy, and you're not, because you are walking a lot. Like, Bonnaroo is big. You're going to be walking miles. Okay? Like, it's not just a quick little 5-minute walk to wherever you're going. Like, you better be comfortable in your footwear.
I made the crucial mistake one year of buying a new pair of this really nice Chaco sandals, the one with all the straps on it. Like, thinking like, oh man, these are great. Spent a lot of money on them. It's like, all right, cool. Yeah. And they're going to be brand new. I'm going to break them in. And like, turns out that the arches on those are awful for my feet. Like, they're just bad. Like, I can't wear them
It's
ever.
funny because
really.
they're perfect for mine.
Right.
But,
that year I was in agony at sometimes, like, because again, it puts you in the situation of like, am I going to sit here and rest my feet, or am I going to put these terrible sandals on and go stand in them to watch a show because that's what I want to do? And it puts you in that situation where you have to make that choice. And that's never a fun choice. That's not what you want to be doing. So
even if it's like not, see, this is what I found, and I think we've kind of hit the nail on the head here. It's like, you don't, like, if it's your big act, like say Post Malone or Childish Gambino or whatever, perhaps like you'll probably get out there. I mean, your feet may hurt, it may kind of dampen your time a little bit, and honestly, if you make too many mistakes and say you got your feet are just like cut up from these blisters, maybe you don't even make that. But what you really don't want to do is be thinking like, one of your middle tier acts that you may have gone and seen and had a good time, those are a lot easier for people to dismiss when they're tired or when their feet hurt or if they're overheated. So it's like, perhaps you would have gone and seen, Catfish and the Bottlemen or, Las Cafe Stress or something, but, your feet hurt because you got new shoes or you got a crazy sunburn and you have to relax for a little while and you don't go. Like, those are the sort of things that you miss. And so don't do that. Protect yourself against the elements. Like, make sure you have something relatively warm to wear. If just one outfit that you can, reuse if you need. Cause it's not a fashion show.
I mean, you're going to be dirty. So like, don't think that you need a new hoodie for each night or something crazy like that. Like, but everyone's dirty.
Yeah.
So
and then just to wrap this up, I'm just going to fire some stuff off real quick. And then we can kind of move more into just general camping tips, because I think it's going to be a good segue here. But just some stuff that's really good for me. Obviously, enough sunscreen. We talked about that. I prefer Dr. Bronner's Spearmint, I believe.
Yeah.
Peppermint.
Dr. Bronner's is the best, man.
It wakes you up. It's incredible. Always have enough beer. Buy more beer than you think. It's important to have around.
Yeah, you don't want to run out of beer. It's annoying.
It's really awful. Annoying. And it's hard to find, honestly, once you're in there. Yeah. I always carry some kind of quick snack with me. Like, it's always a joke with me and my friends. Like, if you see me at Bonnaroo, I almost 100% have a pack of craisins on me. Like, I will always have those on me just in case.
I was going to say, which is somebody who's benefited from that is great. I like Jared and I will just randomly meet back up, and I'm like, hey man, you have anything on you? And he's like, oh yeah, busts out some craisins or whatever. It's like, oh god, yes, yeah, snacks are key.
And I like to have like a small travel pack, because I'm one of those guys that just I hate being out in Bonnaroo and not having the things that I want on me.
Wait, but here we need to talk about the bag situation.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Is they do now say that if you're going to be inside Bonnaroo, you have to have a see-through bag or like
a fanny pack.
Or a fanny,
not just a purse. They won't let you have a regular purse.
They won't let you have a regular purse now. Okay.
Because last year I brought my regular purse, which is about the size of a fanny pack, but it is a across-the-chest purse. And I was trying to go to the yoga in the morning, and they straight up wouldn't let me in. I was like, even though it's the same size, and they're like, yeah, it's a purse. And so what I did is I went and found these random people that were camped like right near Bonnaroo. And I was like, yeah, dudes, will you just watch my purse while I go do this yoga? And they're like, yeah, man, I'm here. And I was like, honestly, there wasn't anything. There was my phone in there. And like, there wasn't much money or anything like that. I wasn't worried about it. But of course, nothing happened to it. It was fine. Whatever. But yeah, they're serious about that. Like, it was a small purse and they really didn't let me in. So get you a see-through backpack or whatever, and just get ready to pack in there.
I have a thing that's looks like a utility belt. Like, it's got a bunch of pockets that are around me, but that's just my personal preference. I know Coastal, you kind of go in. You're usually the one that has no pack. Like, you have a towel.
I don't know. The towel haven't been doing that the last couple of years. Honestly, the towel to me was like everything. I don't know why. I don't know why it started. It was just easy. I could sit on it. I could drape it over my shoulders for like sunscreen. I could, if I got cold at night, like the towel just did it all. I don't know. And if you lose a towel, like who cares? It's an old towel. Like, right. I don't know. But yeah, I honestly, and I still am somebody who wants to carry less than I do. And I usually get it down to a water bottle or two. I usually carry like 2 bottles of water or one big refillable one or whatever, depending on how I'm doing it at the time. A map, which, I usually have in my pocket, like a map of Bonnaroo and everything. And that's pretty much it. Like my phone sometimes, not even usually all the time. And then a spray bottle. Again, if I'm going to be out, I almost always have a spray bottle on me, and that's pretty much it. So I try to keep it pretty slim because I like to get really, I like to be able to move around in crowds and not feel like I'm, I don't know,
down by stuff.
Yeah, and like, because it's not like I'm going to be rude and like get through somebody. So becomes a natural limit to how far you can get if you have a bag on, which is usually very close if you're being nice and whatever and moving with everybody. But yeah, I like to feel like I can just run through a crowd if I have to or want to.
I usually have like a one night, like I'll have a bag on me most of the time, but then I'll want to be free like 1 or 2 times. So like usually it's like Saturday night when I'm like, fuck this, I don't need anything, I'm just going. And so I'll make Jared carry my stuff.
Yeah. My thing for anybody who's thinking about going ultra light though is notice that like I'm like, again, I would carry nothing on me if I could get away with it. It's what I really want. I carry the lightest bags that I can. Do not ever go anywhere without water. Like, do
Yeah.
not be that person. Like,
Yeah,
if you think you can get by with just one bottle because, perhaps you drink a lot throughout the day, then bring one bottle. But do not
And
be
there
the person
is refill
proud about it.
stations inside Centeroo.
Yes, like,
And
please,
outside.
like,
So
That's a
you
bad
can
idea.
always refill the same bottle. Just keep,
And I get
make
it.
sure you
You
keep that
know.
bottle.
yeah, like you really, as long as you're drinking water throughout the day, like, you'll make it through a show without water, but at the same time, just don't risk it. Like, don't be at a great show. Don't be at the middle of Bass Nectar in this intense crowd in this great show. Sorry, Bass Nectar's not there tonight, but it's a great example, or this year, but it's a great example of these huge crowds that people who've been there will remember. Like, they're very, 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 very dense crowds sometimes at these big stuff. Like Childish Gambino's probably going to be, like Post Malone's probably going to be, like Odessa's probably going to be. And you don't want to be there and in this perfect spot and then be just super thirsty and you have to leave. And it's happened to everybody that I've known where we're like, I have to go get some water. Like,
that being said, though, like, people are really nice, and if you're actually like in a danger situation, just ask someone around you.
Yeah,
They'll probably give you water. Like, if you think you're actually going to like dehydrate, like, I would give you a sip of my water.
I think we should make
like,
talking about the people a whole other section, honestly, because we could get on that now. But
I just want to
will.
clear up the bag situation. I have it.
Oh yeah, please. Sorry.
Okay, so you can have, this year they've changed it back a little bit, but still it's pretty strict. So you can have clear bag up to 20 by 15 by 9. So,
Standard
regular
backpack size.
a waist pack or fanny pack, empty hydration pack, so like a Camelback or whatever. This year you can have a drawstring bag,
Oh, okay.
like the
that's
Bonnaroo,
nice.
That's what I usually carry. I like
Bonnaroo
those.
drawstring bag. But last year they actually didn't let you have that.
I remember. Yeah,
Good to know.
So this year that's good.
nice.
So they'll probably have some of those old Bonnaroo ones we can use.
Yes.
Well, I got
Or
my
a small
utility belt.
clutch bag, or just a clear Ziploc bag. Obviously, you could come in with the Ziploc. That's kind of crazy. Just carry around though.
I mean, if you're just trying to keep being waterproof.
If you just want a little granola snack or something,
Yeah.
roll, fuck it,
Oh, and again, this will be posted everywhere, but we've mentioned snacks and waters. These things can't be open when you go in, so just bear that in mind. If you do want snacks and stuff inside Centeroo, make sure your water bottles are either unopened or they're
You
in.
can have little snack ones. You can have.
Oh, you can? I thought they. Okay, well, still okay. Well, just be
but
careful
basically,
about.
you're not allowed to bring like full food in there. Like, their example is like a granola bar is okay, and ice cream sundae is not.
Right.
Like, you can have like little snacky. You can bring in some like nuts or something. Like, they're not going to do anything, but you can't bring in like hot dogs or something. Whatever.
Hot dogs.
But all right, so
anyways.
moving on from like just what you need to just like setting up your camp, because
Oh wait, can I just throw one last one that I didn't say?
oh yeah.
And bring emergency, that like vitamin C pack.
Oh,
or
emergency.
whatever. Those are so clutch because you're drinking, you might be doing other stuff, who knows, you're in the sun, you're in the cold, like, you're up longer, you need your immune system to be top notch. So
I believe that's what they call a life hack, is you can get away with not eating properly and not taking care of yourself in the way that you should by just taking a couple vitamins.
And we say that, and when we talk about camping, I'd like to get into nutrition as well. But I have one other little thing that's really quick. This actually relates to the spray bottles. One thing that I've come to take to doing is, if you are going to be somebody who's using plastic bottles, obviously, ideally, you don't have just a million of them and are using them all every day. I mean, just because of sustainability and everything. I'm sure if you're going to Bonnaroo, you at least have some idea of why what that is. But I like to keep like one that I reuse, and I keep 2 caps on me. One cap is a normal cap, and one cap has a hole punched in it with like a pin or something, and you can use that as a like jet blast, or as a way to just literally not have to mess with your cap all the time. If you're going to be holding your water, you can spray the water into your mouth, and it's a pretty nice little trick to be able to do, because it's also fun at shows to have a bottle full of water and the show's ending or something, or it's just really hot, and you can just like spray it on everybody around you. And again, it's pretty much the same concept as the spray bottle, but that's something I've started doing, just having like just an extra little cap on me that will put onto pretty much any little water bottle, and you can just spray people.
Right.
With it.
Yeah.
Pretty
Yeah.
fun.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, anyways, moving on to the camping tips. So yeah, this is probably going to be the first thing you do after you pass through the gate there. You're going to set up your campsite. Obviously, if you're in an RV, some of the stuff's not going to apply, but some of it will.
Yeah, you'll get assigned your little space by your car.
Right. You get lined
You'll
up.
need to be in line with whoever you're going to be camping with. If you have multiple cars, make sure you know that.
Like when you pass through the security checkpoint, just make sure that you pull off. Everybody's together because they're going to start lining you up to get your campsite going.
And once you're in there, you can't get out. There's no like redo that, So.
Right. So, just make sure that you're lined up, make sure you got your group. And then when you get to your spot, first thing I always do is you got to have your canopy or your easy up, I guess is what these are called, or just like creating some shade for yourself. Cause that's I almost said this for the survival guide part, or just like the thing you couldn't live without, is we've recently bought this 10 by 20 canopy. For cars, basically. It's like
those
just
big
easy
rectangle looking guys.
Yeah, and 10 by 20 is about the space that they give you, so it's a perfect fit to like set the boundaries of your camp. But it kind of gives you your operating space, and I just always like doing that canopy first thing. Like as soon as I get out, it's like put the canopy up, because that's going to determine where everything else goes. So
you're
getting that out first is really important.
It's really been a game changer having that guy too, instead of like trying to put it together with little ones or whatever.
Right. It is nice. But if you don't want to do that, or you don't have the room or don't have the money or whatever, of course, easy ups. Easy ups are the thing. Just buy one or two, and a bunch of tarps. I don't know if
you really don't want to have just a tent in the sun.
Yeah, it's brutal. Don't
You're
make
gonna
that
be
mistake,
so miserable if you do that.
Oh god,
Saved many an adjacent camper who are just getting their asses beat by the heat in the middle of the day, trying to hide in their tent, which is, if anybody has ever made that mistake before, can assure you,
I did it one time.
It's not worth it, guys. And if it does happen that way, and you don't have one for some weird reason, brings me to my next number 2 thing that I always do is just meet your neighbors. That's what Bonnaroo is all about in my general,
and it makes it fun.
Opinion, and they are going to help you out. Like it's about the whole group experience in general. And so just don't be that person that's like trying to take away space, you know what I mean? Like edge your things. Just ask. Be like, hey, are you using the space? Do you mind if I put
my thing overlaps a little bit?
Right, like, oh, you can use it if you want. I know that we met some of our really good friends last year just from the fact that we were having trouble getting our canopy up. We got it up. It kind of bled into theirs, and
they had some problem with theirs where they didn't have.
And poor Sydney got hit in the face, and was bleeding.
Their canopy broke when they were putting it up, and so they needed ours. So we just ended up all camping together, and it was perfect. And now we're good friends with them. Yeah, we're like actual friends.
Yeah, we went to visit them in real life. You know, it was. That's
so you never know.
Put your canopy
and another
up
thing
and meet your
though
neighbors,
if you are in a position where you're by yourself, or you only have a small tent or whatever, then for whatever reason the people around you are dicks or something, they aren't really very accommodating, then go to your pod, go to your closest pod that you're in, and there's always usually cooling stations there. And they'll have, big canopies.
There's all kinds of little places to hang out.
And there'll be cool people there too. So don't feel like you have to just be huddled by yourself in a hot ass tent.
Which is
there's
unlikely.
Somewhere to go. Yeah, but sometimes people, if it's their first festival or whatever, it's just 1 or 2 people. And I've seen them. You see them huddled by their Civic or whatever, and they're in this little tent. They're hot. They don't know who to talk to. Just push yourself a little bit to talk to somebody, and it'll be okay.
Yeah, the pro tip is crazier the setup that you see around you on that person. My experience has been typically the nicer those people are, because look at how much effort they're putting into going to this festival, and oftentimes these people are old school Bonnaroo goers. So they have these, which I would love to talk to you about later, like the sort of vibe, the Roo vibes, the positivity stuff about the people. And that's a big thing. And I would encourage any newcomer to please be a part of that in any and every way, which includes just introducing yourself and saying hello, but yeah, if you are out there, you say it's too hot and you run out of something, or you don't have zip ties or wet wipes or whatever, or honestly, you just want to chat. I mean, you should. We always introduce ourselves to our neighbors the first night, just because it's like, hello, hi, how are you? We're about to be side by side for 4 days. I mean, so just do it. And it's like, again, the people with like the nice setups tend to be the nicest because they're the ones who are there for the good times, and they probably have extra stuff and would be more than willing to give you a toothbrush or something if you can't, or they can tell you where to go.
Or a Band-Aid or whatever. Yeah. Any little things like that people will have for you.
Yeah. Pair of scissors, a mallet.
Mallets. Everyone's always. That's the one thing that people actually forget.
That's true.
I don't think there's been 1 year of my previous 11 years that setting up all like 4 people around were using the same one mallet. That's literally every year. That's what happens. It's so funny.
So yeah, bring a mallet.
One dude with a mallet.
You'll be the life of the party.
Yeah. But share, and again, if you find yourself in a situation where you do have something that somebody else doesn't, of course, don't just wait for them to come ask you either. If you see them trying to pound their tent stakes in with a shoe or something ridiculous. We've seen people using ridiculous things, like just trying to step on them and stuff. It's just go give it to them. It's all about the good vibes. It's all about helping your neighbor and stuff.
Yeah, and just to add on to that, and this is one of the main things that I'll keep harping on, and I'll just go ahead and say it now.
I just go harp, huh?
Yeah, there's no reason for you to be having a bad time there.
Yeah, I agree.
There's no reason for that. Whatever it is, if you're too hot, you don't have something. If you've taken something that you can't handle, or you need somebody to talk to, or any of those things, like something happens to a family member while you're there. Like I've had that happen to me. I mean, just any of these things, there is absolutely zero reason that you should ever be worrying or outside, you're going to be hot, you're going to, whatever. But even if you don't have enough money for food, anything, just ask, man. There's always someone probably within 100 yards or shouting distance that can help you with exactly what you need.
Yeah.
And people who you're talking about a situation in which the idea of fostering that mentality is very strong. So it's not just a normal, I know in a normal random crowd, it may be less likely that, at least in theory, that somebody'd help you, even though I think people in general, crowds in general, tend to want to help a person. Right. But at Bonnaroo, it really
especially foster that.
Yes, it's a very big part of the mentality. And so I think if you do find yourself in any sort of emotional, physical, or whatever stress, or just stressed because you're uncomfortable, you're having a bad time, or you feel trapped, or go, there's always another place to go. There's always other people to talk to. There's always something else to do. I mean, there's a million sorts of, even out in the campgrounds now, they've gotten very good about putting all of these experiences out. And, if you're in any sort of situation at all, just never, because to me, that's a big thing. I always want to feel like I have options, even if I don't care for them. I like the idea of I could go to this all night ambient music thing that's over in this pod if I wanted. And, when you're, it just
knowing that it's there. Yeah.
Yeah. It just can be good. So yeah, like Jared is saying, you should never feel as if there's nothing to do, or that you have to suffer from anything, whether it's not having a mallet to being hungry, you can figure it out, or it can be figured out.
And people can help you. Yeah. And as far as actual safety with drugs and stuff, the medical tents inside there, they are no questions asked places. So don't worry about, I took too many things or whatever, this combination of stuff, and I'm freaking out and blah, blah, blah. I'm going to get arrested or something. No, they're not there to arrest you. They're there to make sure that you stay alive. So,
right. And I mean, and the police inside Bonnaroo tend to be very nondescript, but also inside actual Centeroo. Now, in the campgrounds, this is slightly different, but inside Centeroo, which is the festival grounds, I do think they try to very much develop a mentality of get you to being helped rather than busting you for something. Right. So definitely, if you're in some sort of situation like that, seek help. Like again, people,
and they really will help you. Like,
it's a good. So, I mean, we can talk about all that in some other way if we want, but that's a big thing for sure.
Yeah, and this stuff kind of brings me to my next kind of camping tip. Is you get a map when you come in.
Yep.
And so whenever you get your campsite set up, and this is kind of a step for me down the road, but it's always a very important one, is like situating yourself on that map, because it is kind of confusing. It's hard to figure out at first, or at least I've had trouble with figuring out exactly because all of the campsites are named, like all of the pods are numbered. The streets have names, like all of these things are there to help you kind of situate yourself. And that's really important, at least in my opinion, is just because, knowing where the nearest watering station is, again, knowing where the nearest medical tent is, that's just kind of your basic need stuff. But also, like, finding your friends is a lot easier that way. Exploring the campsites and the pods and the plazas that they set up. Because I know that I've tried to do that, wandered around for so long because I didn't know what I was doing, and then just was like, fuck this, I'm not doing it. And you kind of miss out on it, and it's just like a waste of time. It's an aggravation. Mm-hmm. So just like situating yourself on that big map is always an important step for me, at least, because
and especially if you're going to be out late and partying and whatever, you don't want there to be any question that first night of how you get back to your campsite.
Exactly. And when you're doing this, like, first, find out what the name of your thing is in. Find out the next, like, both that and the exact cross streets of the things. Yeah, there are numbered streets. And not only that, but find, like, 5 different markers that are near
flags or landmarks or anything.
Any kind of landmark that's near anything, but not just one thing. Because there's a lot of times that there'll be similar looking things, similar flags, similar floats, whatever, and you'll look at one and you're like, oh yeah, like that's near our thing, but then it's not. It's a whole separate one. So like have multiple ones. Be like, oh, I know I'm by this flamingo and this Game of Thrones flag and this like SpongeBob thing, and then when I hit the tiger float, then that I'm almost home or whatever. You know what I mean? Float. Like something like that. Like, and it sounds like overkill, but like I promise you, when it's like 4:30 in the morning and you're wandering in, like you don't want to be questioning it. So like
that's the last thing you want to be thinking
references to where you're at as possible, because there's also different ways. Like sometimes you might be coming in or out on from a different
it's a huge area.
So like really know the whole area around where you're at.
Yeah,
like,
I mean,
I think when you get there, when you get there, because if you put it off, you're not going to do it, and you're going to be confused the whole time and just be pissed off.
Yeah,
yeah. Well, that's something that we do as a group, and I think individually now is that post setup exploration. We get our stuff set up, our camp set up, and then we all pretty much the very first night that we're there, like, all right, let's walk around, let's see who's here, what's around, like what's going on. And it's just like, why not? Like have that fun, allow yourself that exploration. But yeah, I think we're getting a little ahead of ourselves with the camp, because I don't know if we need to go into the depths of like how to set like.
Yeah, no, I definitely want to cover
that. But stuff like just be cognizant of the equipment that you're bringing. Like check it before you ever get there. Make sure that you're. Because I've definitely seen people make that mistake too. Have tents they don't even know how to set up, or that are old and perhaps leaky. Mm-hmm. And if that's the case, that's the case. If you got a new tent and you didn't pre-set it up, I've done that and it sucks and I regret it. But,
but you'll figure it out. But still, it's better to do it.
Or having like this deluxe canopy that they can't figure out how to put together.
Yeah. So or you're missing something that you needed to put it up or whatever.
Yeah. Just know your stuff. But when you're there, what's the first things we do, guys? We get out, we put up our shades, basically, which is our easy ups, and or for us, it's our giant canopy.
Right.
And then from there, it's pretty much, I think we get chairs out. We start getting some coolers out, and some food. Like, where do we want our general food?
Crack a beer.
Crack a beer. But
then
like
get the rest
tarps,
of your stuff.
I guess would be the next big thing.
Yeah,
right?
You really do need tarps and like tapestries, because that sun will come in on you.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
you don't want to be in a bad position there.
Major things when I'm camping is just knowing my position in relation to the sun, because you're gonna not want to be getting blasted in the face with the sun as soon as it rises after a night of partying. It is not fun.
It's awful.
And same for like you're trying to just refuel at the end of the day when the sun's setting and it's just blazing in your face. Like like they're saying, have tapestries and tarps to where you know where these things are and you're shading yourself appropriately or accordingly. Excuse me.
I would say, and it's a hard rule of somebody who, maybe doesn't know how many to bring or like how big a tarps, like that's something you're going to have to figure out like relatively heuristically. Like look at, if you're bringing one, easy up, like you probably you want sides on all of your, and whatever you're on, you want a side to it. Like you don't want just a straight up open side. So if you have a 20 by 10, you want enough tarps, then you need to figure that out as how many that is to cover it, like lengthwise. And then they need to stretch out to like the other big tip, if you've never done this or you haven't seen other people, is you don't want it to go straight down to the ground. You kind of tend to want it to slant out and attach it to other things. This is where stuff like zip ties and bungee cords come into play. Like and a lot of it you just have to figure out. Like some of it gets attached to your car, some of it gets staked into the ground, some of it gets attached to other parts of the easy up. It's just
and you also kind of want to have a combination of tarps like attached to things like your car and the ground, and also ones that can be swingy and let air in.
Yeah.
Like, because you don't want to be in a situation where you put too many things up and then you're not getting any air into your camp.
Yeah. We've
definitely done that too far and then had to undo it,
Yeah. Like put time into your camp. Like I think that's what we're kind of getting into here. Like think about, like look around, like again, when you get there, look at where the sun is. Like think about what that's going to feel like in the morning. Try to position your camp or your tent on the opposite side, still under a tarp. Like that's the big thing. We drape these things over from our easy ups or our canopies over the backs of our tents and stake them in. So it's another form of shade. Again, if you've never, and another that's the kind of thing we're talking about here.
Yeah, and as far as just campsite setup, another thing that I really like having, it's not a necessity, but I think it's a big help, is like having, first off, put a tarp under your tent for one.
Yes,
definitely do that.
Unless you have a nice waterproof bottom tent,
right? Yeah. But even then, like, because ants and stuff become an issue, and it's just easier to get those ants and stuff off, away from your tent by just like cleaning off the tarp that's under your tent. Like it's hard to get ants out of grass around your tent, you know what I mean? But if there's a tarp, it's easy to like guard against stuff like that.
Yeah.
And in general, just having like mats and stuff that you can put down. I know that we had some old yoga mats that we used.
Yeah, we had like whole rugs made out of yoga mats.
Yeah, and again, it's just like it's easier to keep the mud if it's muddy. It's like it's easier to keep your campsite dry that way. And again, bugs and whatnot, you can just take those mats and like flip them, like take them outside your campsite, like just kind of like wipe them off.
Some people have those little ones that little kids have that's like puzzle pieces.
Right. Which are, you can find it.
Like bamboo mats, anything like that. Any kind of flooring is kind of nice to have.
Yeah, and it's generally in like, and again, that's kind of a extra or a luxury, but it's one that is easy to plan for and really worth having.
And it's nicer than you might imagine. Like, oh, what's it matter? Like I'll have my shoes on or I'll just be barefoot. It's not, my feet aren't going to be dirty. I mean, that's all true.
Until you have ants all over your feet.
Until you have ants, or if it rained, then your floor is wet. But whereas if it rained, you can pick up your floor mats and not let them get soaked, and then put them back down when it's dry or when it stops raining. And so I mean, is it like going to make or break? No, but it is a very easy luxury to give yourself.
Yeah.
Another one that we're probably not going to have this year. We'll see. But we have been bringing a hammock, like one that, I mean, a lot of people bring hammocks that you can tie to trees, but we've been bringing one that is just its standalone thing. So it has its own stand, and putting that in our campsite. And that's been really nice to lounge on during the day. We'll kind of take turns lounging on it. Cody slept in there before for a whole firefly.
I forgot my entire tent or something, right?
Yeah. You didn't have anything to sleep in, so yeah.
And I was in another state, which
That's
at
really
the time,
nice.
I think it's maybe worth going back. While currently they are in Portland and I live in Washington, D.C., we all used to live in Tennessee, which is where Bonnaroo is, which if you're listening to this, I would assume that you know. And that was a big reason why we've all gone so much as well, because the trip was 45 minutes to an hour to get there, and then you wait whatever you wait or whatever. So before, these things were very easy because we weren't driving very far. Now, though, like, I mean, I think these guys are flying.
We're flying, so yeah, we're going to bring you a lot less stuff this year. Going to go bare bones.
But yeah, so that's also something to consider is how you're getting there. You know, we understand that if you're flying in, your list is going to be way smaller, and in which case, just also remember that there is a Walmart on the way in. Like, you might be able to stop and get some stuff there. There's also a store inside, so you don't have to get everything, but you know, clip it down to your basics if you're flying in.
Yeah.
But stuff like hammocks are super nice.
Yeah.
And just like we did with the other section, I'm just going to do some quick ones real quick.
Okay.
And then I think we'll go move on to just general pro tips, which we've been doing that anyways. But just anyways, some other just camping tips that I wrote down. Keeping your food in the shade or using under your car is a good thing for that. I don't know if everybody uses that space, but the space underneath your car is often a good place to keep stuff. And in that same vein,
or
freezing.
Inside your car too.
Yeah, or inside. Well, inside your car gets hot. So
yeah, but it's good for keeping bugs out though.
Right. Yeah. Freezing, like if you're gonna have like a pack of water, just freezing the water beforehand.
Oh yeah, that's a clutch.
Again, it helps to freeze things, helps keep things cool. Also, those are super clutch to have. Like having a secure space for your stuff, that's important. Obviously you shouldn't be bringing a lot of valuables with you, but you know, Bluetooth speakers or your phone or, you know, whatever, your money, your wallet, if you don't feel like taking that out to Bonnaroo, definitely have a secure place that you know how to get to, that you know where it's at. Everybody knows where it's at. Just so that, I mean, we usually keep our stuff in the car, but then me and Jessica know where the keys are at all times. So again, it's just an easy, you like, unfortunately these things do happen that some people will raid your camp for no damn reason. Like, it doesn't happen often.
It's never happened to me in all the 11 years.
But it's happened to me twice, right? When I was with the other group there. Yeah.
But, you know, just having somewhere to keep your valuables is really important. And then the last thing I was going to say is, like, find your friends ASAP. Like, find where, like, if your other friends are camping or something, like, go find them after you get your camp
like
set
on
up.
Like whenever you get in there.
Oh, sorry.
Because
I lost you guys there for a second. I'm back.
We're just saying to find your friends right away, because if you have this idea in your head, like, oh, I'll just see them on Saturday night or something, like, no, you fucking
go explore when you get there. Yeah.
By that time, no way. If you haven't already met up with them, like, the chances go less and less that you're actually going to meet up with them.
Yeah, that to me
people turn off their phones die, they don't charge them again. They don't know where they are.
Or they're at other shows when you're not. It becomes very difficult.
The logistics, it seems like it should be easy enough, but I'm telling you right now, I can't tell you how many times I've had plans to meet up with people and then never saw them the entire Bonnaroo.
Yeah, it does happen. Sorry, what?
So yeah, it's also fun. Like if you find that one of your friends' camp is along the way to like that's on the way back, it's always nice to just pop in and be like, hey, what's up, guys? And
or sometimes they're next to something cool, like near the Grove, or they're near you know,
and
cool
it's always fun to kind of know where people are, and it's one of my favorite parts. It's going to see everybody's camp. It's always
we've like started now having some friends of ours that, like, we knew some of them before, but now we have this whole group that we meet up with at Bonnaroo every year, and like we only see them at Bonnaroo, but every year we meet up, so it's like become a really fun, like, little Bonnaroo family.
One other thing that I'd like to throw into the camps before perhaps we move on to more practical things is to make it fun. So we make a big deal out of bringing in a bunch of, like, lights and glow sticks, and, well, not glow sticks usually, but, like, you know, like, what do you even call those? Like little LED lights and strips, and Bluetooth speakers Jared mentioned, but that's a great one. Listening to music, like, as long as you're not just blasting it all the time, like, be respectful of the people around you, of course, but at the same time, like, people, I feel like, typically understand, you know, it's Bonnaroo, it's a party, like, there's a festival going on. So just, you know, but that's a good one. Bring just any other little things. Like, anything that would seem funny to you. Like we bring pillows, and honestly, we bring like stuffed animals and little plastic and rubber toys. Like we bring all kinds of things for it to be silly, because it's supposed to be
hula hoops.
fun.
If you do any kind of flow art, any kind of thing like that.
Yeah. We bring all kinds of stuff like that.
If you have a large group, having themes for the group is always fun, because it's fun.
Should we tell them about our theme?
Oh yeah, we always do.
Should we not?
Yeah, we always do animal themes for ours, and
we've done it now for how many years?
5, I think.
5. Yeah. We started with Year of the Caterpillar. We didn't do anything super crazy for that. We had just some little caterpillar squishy toys and whatever. But we've gotten, more and more into it. We had Year of the Bear, Year of the
Frog,
Cat, Frog,
and Bird.
Frog.
Bird.
Oh, Bird.
So this is 6 then.
Frog.
This is 6, yeah.
Wait, which is the order of Frog and Bird?
I don't think that's important right now.
Well, anyways, we've had all these animals. And so this year coming up, if anyone wants to join us, is going to be Year of the Butterfly. So our caterpillars are hatching out of their cocoons.
Yeah.
Full circle.
But so we're going to do Year of the Butterfly, so we'll have like butterfly stuff. But yeah, it's just, it's another fun way to interact with your neighbors, to interact with your friends. Like people kind of know us for this particular thing, so they'll always ask about it. And,
our friends always know to us. They're like, what's the year? What animal are we?
And again, it's just in general, just talking to people around you. And it's just to
fun.
Kind of go to our next thing is just general pro tips. Just general stuff that you are. Well, yeah, let's do that. Because I do have like an exploring Bonnaroo, because we've been talking about that as well. Like, there's just so much to do there.
We can talk about that real fast.
Yeah, let's just go into that. That's fine.
So there are things like, every pod has like kind of different stuff going on at it. Sometimes there's ones with a more, like our one last year was kind of a more yoga centered one. They have like healthy stuff over there all the time, little giveaways and like some kind of ambient music going on at night. And then there's like the Grove, which is nice place to, it's always got like art installations in there, and you can hang up your hammock. If you have hammocks that tie to trees, you can put them in there, and it's really nice and shaded, so that's a cool place to hang out. Then there's that little thing attached to that right next to it that's like a little coffee shop, which that's cool. And they've been having they'll have like open mics in there, they'll have karaoke in there, there's all kinds of stuff like that, and it actually feels like a coffee shop. Like you feel like you're almost in Nashville at a real place with an open mic. So that's kind of cool.
Bonnaroo does great about creating these little micro spaces that are very cool and have a life of their own. Over the years, there's been all kinds of, because of course, sponsorships come and go, and there's been like State Farm lounges and these different things that are worth checking out. I mean, really, that and that I believe was literally just a giant covered area with like bean bags and stuff to lay on, and huge fans going. I mean, you have to explore to know what's going to be there, because some stuff is not super explained. I mean, some things are. Of course, they have all these listings of things like the Grove, but just walk around, go into these random shops, like go into the coffee shops and into the hair salons and to the the little snack. Because some places like what was it? Those little wheat thin crackers, like they had a thing.
They'll give you. There's always things with free food.
Yeah, there's like free food, and like a big thing. And I don't know how strictly they keep to it now, though. I think pretty strictly is like every vendor has to have some sort of interactive or otherwise free experience. Like, so if you walk into a place, it's not just like give us your money or there's nothing for you to do here. Like there's either music playing, or there's a lounge, or there's free snacks, or there's some sort of art drawing thing going on. So it's
back
very
in the
much
day they used to have a big cigarette tent.
Yeah, they
American
did.
Spirit for so many years had a cigarette tent where people go get free cigarettes.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, people took advantage of that for sure.
Yeah.
So yeah, like when you see these things, like just remember like their official stuff, like again, like the whatever the big exhibits are. I mean, for
Plazas.
some reason, the big plazas and such that they do. Those, obviously check those out, but it's so much more than just that. And there's all these little events going on, and sometimes artists will do like pop-up shows that are never going to be announced and you'll never know about. Like, you just have to walk around. You have to explore.
And
like,
sometimes the little pods will have like random parties and stuff.
Oh yeah, like all the time.
Especially at the farther ones out, like the ones that are really shitty to camp in, but they'll have like the best parties, like late night parties. That kind of makes it better for those people that are near that. Like, it's like, you got to walk like 3 miles to get to Bonnaroo, but you have like a banging party.
Oh yeah. I mean, and this will go in a general pro tip or whatever, but if you have never been ever, and you're not just listening to this for some sort of refresher or just because you think we're funny or whatever,
I hope you do.
Bonnaroo, but even if you don't, no, but Bonnaroo, like, is divided into two sections, of course. There's the camping, which is what I just called Bonnaroo, and then there's like Bonnaroo, which is I still just call Bonnaroo, but of course Bonnaroo is the well, I'm trying to be specific because I don't think we're often very specific about it, because like Bonnaroo is the festival grounds where it used to be the only thing where stuff was going on. Now they actually have stuff in the campground, so it's a little bit more of a bleed,
more spread out.
Great, but it is huge, guys. Like, it's massive. Like, where like you see like, oh, there's like 18 or 13 or whatever campgrounds, and you're going to think like, surely I'll be able to see the majority of them from my campground, because but no, and they're
absolutely
huge.
not.
It's outrageous. So yes, if you're in one of these far back spots, you'll definitely find that there's people partying around you in their camps more, because that's the atmosphere, right? Like, well, I'm going to have to walk 35 minutes to get into Bonnaroo. Like, what? We may as well throw a rager out here, or Bonnaroo, right?
Yeah,
and we may as well throw a rager out here.
Yeah,
and just like to the just general theme of Bonnaroo, like what these plazas are trying to accomplish is creating like a community center. Like, these pods are supposed to be these kind of independent communities, and they want to provide a place for people there, somewhere close that they don't have to walk super long, because like you guys are saying, sometimes you're so far away that like you feel like you're missing out on stuff. So this is a way for them to kind of bring Bonnaroo to you. So they have these community centers that are great. Like I know that, I mean, first off, there's food vendors. Which is always nice. Like, and
there's food everywhere, in Bonnaroo, outside of Bonnaroo, at different streets everywhere.
Yeah, and like they have these open mic things, and they're also good places to meet people. So it's like, if I'm having trouble finding a friend of mine's camp, I can be like, hey, well, what plaza are you nearest? Let's just meet there, and then they can show me from there. It's like a nice meetup place that you can go to. And again, all of these plazas are going to have medical tents, information, stuff like that, in case you need that stuff.
And also, Bonnaroo just like wants you to be able to do whatever it is that you like doing. So it's like, if you're like an artist, there's always some kind of interactive thing to do. Like, they're always working. I think this year they're having like an interactive mural at Planet Roo, but then there's also the wall that covers like the outside of Bonnaroo that people always spray paint. So if you're into that, bring your spray paint. If you're into like what's it called, like theatrical type stuff, they've had that kind of stuff has kind of risen up in the last few years. Like,
they have that steampunk gallery thing.
Like there's like steampunk people, there's people that do flow arts, there's people that, like whatever type of shit that you're into, like you can find other people that are into that.
Yeah, and they've also been good about showing big sports games that happen to coincide, right?
Yeah.
Like,
the NBA playoffs is always on.
The finals are always on during Bonnaroo.
Yeah, I never could remember what it was, but yes, well, the finals.
Yeah, last year the Caps won.
That's right. Yeah, that's right.
That was fun.
They're usually good. So the point being, and there's all kinds of stuff. Like I think Jess mentioned earlier, there's always morning yoga. And that's both sometimes in the pods, but also officially inside Bonnaroo at the Academy, which is in the dead center of pretty much Bonnaroo, relatively speaking. It's in the center. They have morning yoga. They have meditation, like transcendental meditation, every 30 minutes or every hour or something like that. Like there's there's also Soberoo. So if you're need a sort of a sober support group or just a place to hang out, to not be, whatever. They have a space for that. Like there's stuff for everybody. There's, if you're a musician, like I'm sure there's all kinds of like little interactive stuff.
Oh, there's always like that little drum
cafe.
circle.
Right. There's the drum circle people. Yeah. There's all kinds of like, you can,
like whatever type of shit you want to do.
And if you want, you can start a lot of this stuff too. Maybe more easily in the campgrounds, but you could start a little impromptu band, like, or something. I mean, I guess, if you had instruments or whatever, but
well, yeah, that's another thing. Yeah. If you do have instruments, bring them. If you're like a guitar player, fucking bring that shit. You might make some friends, make some music acquaintances or whatever.
This is the perfect time for a side story. Jared, or actually, it was all three of us. It was all three. There's that
girl.
Yeah, playing the guitar, and these guys watching her. And it was what? I mean, it had to have been like 5 a.m.
Oh, well, the sun was already up, so I think it was like 6.
Or it was like coming up, yeah. And so basically, this girl, and I think it was their guitar maybe, because it seemed like it was their campsite, and she maybe had offered to play or something. But regardless, these 2 guys sitting around listening to this random girl play at, sunrise after being up all night, and we're walking around looking for a falafel or something.
No, we're just looking for a good place to watch the sunrise.
Yeah. That's right. You're right.
We're walking towards it to get away. It's like there's kind of little hills or whatever. So we're trying to.
Oh man, I forgot about that.
A good sunrise view.
Yeah, and so essentially, without like dramatizing whatever, we come across these people becoming like very into this playing. And was she good? Like, of course. Like, was she just mind blowing? Maybe not. But in that moment, these guys were.
That was the best show they saw.
Yeah, they were like, to say they were exuberant is kind of underselling.
Oh my gosh.
I mean,
yeah,
they were like lifting their hats off, like.
Yeah, they made that motion like your mind coming up and just glowing.
Yeah, like he lifted his hat up and just went. Like his mind just blew. Like, and it was funny.
Like, he was like, "Did you hear this girl? She's fucking incredible! Oh my god!" Blah blah blah.
Yeah, and it was great. And it wasn't like
I loved that girl.
Yes, and it made her feel great. It made us feel great because we had nothing to do with the situation, but it was like a great thing to be a part of and just walk up on. Like, these guys just genuinely being blown away by this other random person who just so happened to be up as well. And we just so happened to be the only audience that they had. It was a cool moment. And again, you can't obviously.
Wait, we might have lost you there for a second.
Difficulty.
Yeah, Dark Dome. But I guess just to build on what he was saying is.
You can't plan stuff like that. But if you walk around and interact with people, you'll see stuff like that. Who knows what can happen? Yeah. And Skip Cooper has some stories of like walking around and seeing like huge bands, like people from like somebody from like the Grateful Dead playing on top of a van at 4 a.m. and just weird shit like that. Just like you don't even know what's gonna pop up.
Yeah. And are we back, Dark Dome?
Yeah, I'm back.
Yeah, we can't hear you.
I'm not sure when I lost you, but yeah.
Yeah, just in general, talking about these things aren't planned and whatnot, but just getting out and walking around.
You just got to be into it. You got to be open to it. It's not something I have found that when people complain about. Not just Bonnaroo, but experiences in general like this. They're like, oh, well, I was told this was supposed to be great. It's like, well, it can only be great if you are participating. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you have to. It's not just like, oh man, Bonnaroo's going to cater every experience to you and sweep you along. Like you have to be open to it and put in some effort
and interact with it and interact with other people.
As good as you let it be, like without sounding.
One of the point that we're getting at is they have something for you. Like they have. Parades, they have a fucking run, they have like a 5K. I mean, they have those really nice farm to table meals, which are really cool.
We've never done anything like that, but if you're a fancy type
silent options
and you have a bunch of money to spend on really nice local food, fucking go for it. They have that for you. Another thing with the retail stuff, like the sponsorship and stuff, that's another thing that is widely criticized of Bonnaroo. It's like, oh, they sold out, blah, blah, blah. It didn't used to be like this. And it's like, fair enough. It didn't used to be like that. But, I mean, just, you don't have to interact with it. There's no point in, like, dwelling on the Garnier Fructis tint being there or whatever. Just, if you hate that, just walk by it, Like, you don't have to.
Like, get free stuff and keep going.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, there's no point in just, like, dwelling on the negative, on what you see as a negative of it. when there's something around the corner that's incredible that you could.
Yeah. And it's all about your mental state, right? And not like, it's just what you do. And I mentioned earlier about vibes and the people, and I wrote in my little notes, like, be the coolness, which was kind of supposed to be funny, but but it is like, there's these moments where you really, if you are open to developing community and you're open to, being open with strangers and having fun and, having these moments, like, you're going to have them. But if you want Bonnaroo to just give them to you and to just wow you and to just be able to go to only the shows that you want to go to and just have this life-changing experience, like, you're not gonna. But if you want to seek that out, like, you can, which is why I think we've all been so many times, like, you can make it what you want to make it. So.
And and that's why it is different. I mean, at least for us, it's the one that we like make sure we go to this music festival, just because the vibe there is so open to this kind of feeling, like, they really try to foster that. And so now it's become like our home kind of thing. And we've go to other music festivals, and we want to go to plenty more. And I'm sure there's other places that are similar like this, but it's like there are some that aren't, that try, and it just doesn't work quite.
Firefly.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like, I mean, take this openness and this like good vibe thing serious, and you will have a great time.
And help your neighbors and let them help you. I'll circle back around to that, and I want to tell I'll be very quick on this story because I know this is not story time hour, but just another example of helping people out. And I think I was alone on this one, though. This was one of my very first years, so it's been 2010 or so. And I remember thinking, like, I was walking around and it had just rained and people were still getting there, which means it was probably Thursday early and lots of people still arriving. And I'm walking with just a random group of people, just as you do, because we're all going to get food or whatever, and it's nobody that I know. And somebody gets stuck in the mud. And just literally instantaneously 5 people just walked over and just pushed them out. Like, no, nobody said anything. They didn't even have time to get out of their car to like ask for help or try themselves. It's just like there was about 5 or 8 of us walking by when it happened. And like, we literally just all walked over. I think and again, we didn't say, hey guys, let's help this person out. It's just like one person walked.
Well, of course we're going to.
Because we were 7 feet away from this person, so we just so just be that person. Like, if you see somebody get stuck, help them out. Like, if you see somebody looking for water, maybe give them a splash. Like, if you see somebody looking for a mallet and you have one, like, help them out. Like,
last year there was this girl at the bathrooms, and I felt so sorry for her. She was all like, had done too much Molly and stuff. Like, she hadn't slept the entire week.
Got way too much sand in her eyes.
And and she was looking for a tampon. And it was like, every girl that was right there that was standing there was like, oh my gosh. So everyone got all involved in like finding this girl a tampon because it was like, she needs help right now. Like, she literally hasn't slept in like 4 days. You know what I mean? Like, somebody get this girl a tampon. Like, we all understood the gravity of this. Like, okay, for real, she needs help. Somebody figure this out.
No, I think that's important.
Like, I was like, oh my gosh, you never slept? Don't do that, by the way. Always sleep. Make sure you sleep.
Well, that's what I've got for the vibes. Like, I just want to,
And if you want to take off your top, do it. Nudity, they don't have an official position on nudity, I think, because they know that would be frowned upon by Coffee County if they were just like straight up, we allow nudity. But, I mean, there are always people. Granted, every year less. Like, if you were to go in like 2006 and then like last year, like the amount of topless people is significantly less, but still it's a thing and it's pretty fun because it's like one of the only places that you feel like, oh, okay, like safe enough to walk around topless. You always see, like, there's always like a one naked dude wandering around.
There's always that guy.
It's like you'll see a 1 per year about.
One brave soul.
Yeah.
So I guess a good time to talk about this, because I do want to talk about some Bonnaroo myths here, and that there's just people running around naked all the time. I feel like is one that, but just that as an example of these myths that I kind of want to talk about a little bit. just good stuff to know. So yeah, like just the idea that it's just this crazy hippie fest and everybody's just out of their mind and like everybody's naked and whatnot. Like that is not what it is. Okay. Like,
right. It's not so hippie as some of these like European ones or whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
There is a general awesome good feeling to it, but like
it's just
not,
regular people.
It's not like Woodstock. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
it's not like it probably used to be when this maybe got
when
that
it started
vibe.
out as a jam band festival. Yeah.
Yeah. Here's another one that we can address. It's kind of a sticky situation. Just if you're going to have substances or whatever, if you're going to take whatever, illicit drug use and just like how interacting with the police there are. Because this is one
That's another thing that's kind of changed over the years.
A lot of people have questions and stuff about this. So I just figured it'd be a good thing for us to address. But just in general, like I have never had an issue with the police presence there.
Me neither.
When you first enter Bonnaroo, like the campsite of Bonnaroo, there is a security checkpoint. They're going to ask you to get out of your car. They're going to search your vehicle. And this is, a lot of the times they're just looking for any like glass bottles, because you can't have glass bottles, any
explosives, weapons, anything.
They don't want to find those. There is a cap to how much alcohol per person you can have, so they're checking that stuff. And obviously, they are going to be looking for any illegal drugs. They, in some occasions, do use dogs. Like I've seen dogs at the gates before, but
they don't have. It's not like they have 1 million dogs and that every car is getting checked for dogs. They kind of have like, at least last year and the year before, they'll have like 1 or 2 kind of out to kind of scare people or whatever. But I mean, yeah, if you could conceivably be searched by a dog, so don't be an idiot.
And just the only thing that I kind of wanted to say about all of this is, I've never had an issue with anything in that field. And a lot of the times the people searching our car are volunteers. They're not searching. They want you to have a good time. Like it's not like they're doing this to try and bust people or catch people. They're trying to keep people safe. Yeah. But at the same time,
also going to the festival. Like these are your fellow festival goers usually.
Right. Right. And so, but at the same time, I've definitely heard of people getting pulled over, leaving or coming to Bonnaroo, and
that's a big thing.
Running into legal issues with them having illegal drugs on them. I've even heard of people getting, busted at the security checkpoint. And so I just want to stress that, that's just like you're still in real life here, you know what I mean? So there are consequences to your actions.
And inside Bonnaroo, they do have real Coffee County cops too. So just don't go up. Sometimes I see people going up to these cops on horses and straight up trying to pet the horses and talk to the cops, and you can tell that they're all fucked up. And I'm like, just don't. You know what I mean? Don't ask to be arrested. You know what I mean?
Well, I think
they don't.
Yeah. Just I agree. I think what we're trying to say here is when you're inside the festival, you have far less to worry about, but they are trying to make sure people aren't being idiots. So don't be going up and just being dumb. Don't
offer the cop horse a blunt or something like that.
Or just be walking around being super obvious. Some people are going to say, oh man, I carry, I smoke blunts walking down Bonnaroo all the time. And it's okay, sure. Maybe they do. Maybe they're more smooth about it.
Back in the day, back when I very first started going there, you really could do that. It was everyone was walking around smoking all the time on any corner, everywhere. It was not.
It's not that way.
And in the recent years, we have heard of people getting busted for weed, for smoking weed in front of a cop. So
you're smoking weed in front of a cop.
Right.
Yeah, it's one of those things. Just don't be. You don't have to be super scared all the time. They're really trying to bust everybody, but also don't try.
Yeah, no,
don't put them in a position where they have to do something.
Right.
Right. That's the thing. It's plausible deniability, right? That's my point. That's also why, having your campsite the way that you want it, i.e., with proper shade and,
ability privacy.
And privacy, and for lots of reasons, not just because like, oh my God, you can do whatever you want in there, but I mean, it really is about the shade more than anything. But of course you want privacy. I mean, why would you not? And that's part of it, especially if you have a camp that is, say, on a main walkway. You have that possibility. Sometimes you're way off, and sometimes you're that person who's right on the corner of Main Street and First. You know what I mean? Like, you have to consider stuff like that. But the only times I've heard about people getting in trouble, 9 times out of 10, is to and from, like out on the interstate or the highway. Which, of course, there's state troopers out there. Like, don't be painting. I mean, they're going to know you're going to Bonnaroo, but maybe don't be the one with like, rainbow flowers drawn over your car and, 420
hot leaves. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, which, I mean, you'd see, and it's like, man, well, that person may not get busted, but they're definitely getting searched.
I mean, if you're driving a long distance, if you're driving like, say from Maryland to Tennessee, like Virginia will bust your fucking ass for that. They know where you're going. Like, and they want to make money off you too. So I
remember one year we were driving from Maryland to Tennessee and saw a car past us that was like Rue bound or whatever. And then like an hour later we saw them pulled over.
So we're like, oh damn.
And like all of their stuff was like getting pulled out.
Too,
right? They were getting completely
damn.
Yeah. So guys, be careful. We are not in any way condoning or saying that you should use drugs or anything along those lines,
or that you have to.
We're not saying that you have to do it to have a good time. We are just saying that if that is something that you feel like you need to do or you want to do or want to take part in, this is how it works.
Just know that it's
like,
still in a place where that's illegal, technically.
Yeah. So. But I will say that, like, especially inside Centeroo, stuff like that laxes a little bit. Like, you definitely see people being a little bit more free in crowds and at night and stuff like that. Like, again, don't be terrified, but at the same time, don't be dumb. Like, it is illegal. Like, nobody's saying it's cool, man, just get it out and you're not going to get in trouble. Like, I would never say that to you because the reality is that it might be fine for 99% of the people who do it, but you don't.
But you don't want to be that one that actually does get this.
So it's just use your common sense. And then on the flip side of it, if you are using anything, you may have heard that somebody dies every year at Bonnaroo, which is not actually true, but it's.
Isn't it?
I don't think did somebody die last year?
I don't think so.
I mean, as far as I know, there's always usually.
Well, regardless, obviously it's usually drug related, but it ends up being like exposure to the elements type thing where they just sat and they passed out in their tent.
And the sun is it's always to do with heat
and stuff like that. So just be like this. I will reference back to the medical tents. They're there to help. Like, just don't feel pressured. If you're somebody who, you're going and you've never done a lot of things before and, you feel like that's the vibe and, man, your friend, whatever, just be smart on that way. Like, I'll definitely preach the just say no type vibe. I mean, I'll go full dare for a minute if if that's how you feel. Like, because, again, there's something here for everybody. Like, if you want to take any sort of, mind-altering substances, you will probably have the opportunity if you look. But if you're offered and you don't want to, also realize that there's also people like you there.
That's fine. That's totally
like, don't be the person who's like, well, I'm at Bonnaroo, I guess I have to take this Molly. Like, please don't be that person.
Yeah. But,
right. Oh, yeah, definitely not.
Because I feel like I heard a couple years ago these people kind of debating whether this girl wanted to take anything, and they weren't like really pressuring her, but they kind of were. They're like, well, we got all this, and I ended up kind of like not saying anything, but I started chatting with them to like get the conversation to stop. I didn't like, hey, don't tell her that, but I was more like, hey guys, what do y'all? And I just sort of started talking because she was obviously like weird about it. She didn't want to. She's like, oh, I've never done it and yada yada, but like, oh, it's fun. Like, just it's classic dare situation, right? So just don't be that person if you don't want to be. And if you are and you get yourself in some sort of situation, go to the medical tent, go to some sort of friendly face.
There are resources for you.
Like drink water. And know also that people in the crowd are very kind. You may not feel like you know them, but I've seen people pass out at shows, and people instantly circle them off, carry them out. Like
it's not a pleasant sight, but it is encouraging.
People care about you. Like people do care about you. And I'm not saying be the person who passes out, but like I've seen people from both like have seizures. I've seen people pass out from heat, from random drugs. Like I've seen and instantly everybody around them has like shepherded them out of the biggest crowds, like straight up, like deep in the big crowds. People will get you out. So I know if like when you're in these sort of states, sometimes people get very terrified and they get nervous, and I mean that's valid, but also know that, you know, even though these people are strangers and may not be paying a lick of attention to you at the moment, people do care. They
want you to be okay. Yeah.
Well, yeah, and I'll use a pretty no pun intended sobering experience here that I had. One of my first years is I was just going really hard, and I was one of those people that took stuff that I was not familiar with or not whatever. Like it just made the mistake of doing too much. And I remember I'm in Bonnaroo. I'm just all of a sudden was like, I feel awful. I like go out of the crowd, kind of into a quiet area where there was no lights or anything. I'm literally crawling on my hands and knees at this point because I'm just feeling so sick. I vomit right there. And then just all of a sudden, boom, there are two headlights on me with like two crew members. And all they said was, hey, are you okay? Do you need help? And I was like, no, like after I vomited, I felt a lot better. And all I needed to do then was just chill out. And I just was like, no, guys, I'm fine. Gave them the heads up. I was like, really, I'm okay. I have water. I'm good. And they were like, okay. And then boom, they were gone. And like, didn't see them again. No pressure, no nothing. But just, that's an example of like, there was someone right there. And like, I mean, I was out in the middle of kind of just a field too, like a side thing, you know, just trying to gather myself. And yeah, they were right there for me. They asked if I needed help. No judgment. Obviously, they knew something was wrong, but like trusted me enough to know myself, and then just kind of let me go, or let it go, not let me go. Like that was a thing.
And I had a thing like that too, where one of our friends one year, I guess this was like 10 years ago,
Jesus,
we were in a crowd in one of the tents, and all of a sudden she was like, I think she puked and just passed out, and we were like, oh my God, what do we do? And so we were all freaking out, and it was during a show that we were all really excited about. It was Passion Pit, and we were like, oh my God, like this is like a reason why, especially Anne went there. And but we took her out, went to the medical tent, you know, she came back around, she was fine. It turned out the main problem was that she hadn't eaten enough that day. So again, to tell everybody, eat. It's going to be, here's the thing. It's really, maybe we can segue this into nutrition section and food because it's really hot. Okay. And we've talked about the heat as, you know, you don't want to get the sun crazies like Jared. Also, that's a problem for him getting out there in the sun, but like it makes you not hungry, even if you're the type of person that eats a lot in your regular life. So like, just force yourself to eat something. Like don't go the whole day eating one little hot dog or one banana or something like that. Like you're not going to be okay.
But just a couple of just more fun myths, because that kind of got serious, got heavy real quick. I just wanted to just knock out some other ones that are really kind of fun. Like the fountain. I like talking about the fountain.
Oh, yeah.
So the fountain is really cool. But after day 2, I'm not going anywhere near that thing. I mean, I don't know. That's just a personal choice of mine. I don't know if there's any real science to that. Like I'm sure the water is filtered, like, you know, but maybe they've made leaps and bounds in technology and it stays clean, but I just don't trust it, guys. I really don't.
Yeah, because there is something about they recycle the water to it.
Oh, of course.
Yeah, well, it does get. Lately, in the last couple of years, I feel like it's been really extra cold. Does anyone else?
It has. I feel like they've changed something with their.
Something has changed with it, yeah. Because I remember last year I tried to get in, I was like, "This is too cold. I can't even do it." Like,
well, it also stays cleaner longer, so the water definitely used to especially like by day 3, be discolored. To be, I mean, I'm not saying it was shooting mud, but it was definitely not sparkling like clear water, and
it'd be warm too.
Right, but now, like, I felt like even well into, like, Saturday, like, I got in the water, and I remember it feeling like I don't feel like there was any sort of weird smell or color, or it was extraordinarily cold. I do remember thinking that.
Yeah. But they must have changed something with it. I don't know.
But either way, yeah, the fountain is a cool thing, and on Jared's point, like, maybe don't get in there after the second day, maybe do, but definitely think about getting in there at least once. It's fun. And
yeah, it is fun, for sure.
It feels great. Like, if you're talking about, like, I mean, I do it very regularly. Well, not very, but I do it like once a day on like Saturday and Sunday or Friday, Saturday, Sunday, you know, because it's like so hot. It's like, why not just get in there
Just
and
make sure you don't have your phone on you.
Right. Jesus Christ. Obviously make sure. Yeah. But I love it. Like, and that goes back to stuff like keeping a bandana wet and whatever, like that sort of thing goes a very long way. And so if you're somebody who's either shirtless or wearing a tank top or honestly any amount of clothes,
or just a bathing suit,
just anything that you're wearing that can be wet, it feels great because you're going to dry out. You're going to be in 80-degree heat, 90-degree heat, you know, in direct sun. Like your shorts or whatever it is that you're wearing, guys, you know, they're going to dry out.
Yeah.
Like, you know.
That is the thing. Yeah. People are sometimes worried like, oh, well, I don't want to be wet. And it's like, if it's the middle of the day, you really aren't wet for long.
Yeah.
Like, you wish it stayed longer. But
kind of a weird segue, but restrooms. So,
oh my gosh, they have made such leaps with these restrooms. Holy shit.
If we had this conversation, 5-6 years ago, it would have gone very differently.
Yeah.
But since, there are indoor bathrooms, like actual facilities.
Yeah, because Bonnaroo owns that land now. They
you can
have
take showers
a real
if
structure
you need to,
that's a real bathroom inside Bonnaroo. Okay?
Yeah.
2.
It used to not be that way, if you can't tell by our sheer amazement. It's been years since they've done it, but
dude,
it was because there's lines and stuff, but still, it's worth it if you.
They go so fast though because there's so many stalls in there. So even if you see a huge line outside the women's one, like sometimes it does get really fast, it's really long. It still goes so fast. It's still worth it to go over there. And there's always staff in there helping people keep the line, making sure they go into the thing. There's always toilet paper. It's clean. Yeah. It's like for a music festival, it's like a dream come true. You can't believe
it's pretty crazy.
So if that is something holding you back, guys,
if you're somebody, because that's valid. Like, I would recommend you not be that concerned. the porta potties are. They're porta potties. They're not great. Like, you'll have some moments in a porta potty, but nobody's. I'm not about to sit around and be like, oh, they're not so bad. Because like the things that exist in them are pretty bad. Like I get it, but at the same time,
they have addressed the issue.
But even the porta potties out in the Bonnaroo camping, just the regular porta potties, like they do service those like so much more often than they used to back in the day. It's like before, like 7 years ago or something, like 100% you could not go to Bonnaroo without like having a whole pack of toilet paper, like bringing toilet paper. And which now that's really not. You might want to have like 1 or 2 rolls just in case. But like honestly, the last few years we haven't even needed them. Like and you're using it just to like blow your nose because there's they really have been pretty good at like servicing those.
And if I can say one thing about this real quick.
Oh, you may.
Don't be the person that pisses in the fucking campsites. Like, God damn it, we're not fucking animals. Like, that's how things get bad. Is like, you think you can just like piss next to your car. Like, don't do that. Like, please don't do that. Like, I get it if it's an emergency.
Like sometimes it happens.
Like,
whatever,
I feels you. Like, whatever. Don't piss on yourself, I guess.
Don't make it a plan to like, after the first day, I'm just not going to go to the bathroom. Like, just come on.
Yeah, don't be. We get it. Like,
yeah,
it's like whatever. But yes, you're sharing space. You're, people are walking around all over the place, not just because it's like, it's the side of your camp. Maybe it's not a main walkway, but like, come on.
Exactly. The last two I want to say is that like wristbands. They ask you to register your wristband, but like I don't think that's a big deal. Or like even if you were like scalping wristbands, has anybody even ever tried that or had issues with it? Because I
don't think we've ever even tried. I don't know.
I think once I didn't register mine and nothing happened. It still just scans the same way. Yeah, they just it's like they're a way they want to keep track of who you are and whatever. Yeah,
that's what it is. But,
register it, sure, but like don't be like freaking out like, I'm about to enter into the thing and I haven't registered. What do I do? Like I need this code. Like nothing's gonna happen. It's
no reason for anxiety there. Yes. And then the last thing, one of my favorite things is ground scores are totally real. So. And if you're unfamiliar with ground scores, basically what that is at the end of the festival, a lot of people, me and Jessica are in this situation now, is they have flown in, so they just don't need their equipment anymore, or they don't need whatever. or
or they can't just
yeah,
straight up.
right. They just don't have the space or whatever, can't bring it with them. So yeah, they just leave all kinds of stuff there. And like, I mean, we would get upwards of like 2-3 cases of beer.
Oh yeah, beer is a big
tables.
Yeah, any type of camping gear you want.
Yeah, coolers are another big one.
Oh yeah, as many coolers as you possibly want, you can find. You can pack a whole truck full of coolers that you find there.
Yeah,
like
so that's
full
a
of beer.
when we say that, that's obviously going to be typically speaking Monday morning. So you would have to stay
overnight that night. Yeah.
But which is worth it. Why would you not why would you want to drive? Like, to me, why would you want to drive home immediately after partying on Sunday? But
well, some people have to go to work and whatever.
No, I get it. It's a thing.
It
but
sucks though. Yeah.
If you cannot,
if you can stay, just do it. It's better. You'll have a better time on Sunday, not being anxious about leaving.
Yeah.
But one time I did do that. I felt very weird about it.
There is a big exodus Sunday night.
I hated it. I hated when I left on Sunday. Oh my gosh. It made me so anxious that whole day. And it's so sad because you have to take down your thing first, like before like going out.
Oh, that's weird.
And so you just feel like, oh, well, it's already over. Even though I'm still seeing some bands, like, no, I hated that.
Yeah. Here's one, actually. It's just one I just popped into my head, and I want to see if you guys have any insight to it or know anything beyond what my experience is like, as far as when you get there, as to like what camp you get. Like, if you get there earlier, do you get closer to Sunroof?
Well, here's the thing: is they've been changing.
Is it random? Like,
every year is not the same. But I feel like the last maybe 3 or 4 have been. If you get there super early, it doesn't actually help you that much. Like those Wednesday people, like you kind of get put out a little bit far, because they're trying to fill it back in or something. It's like I don't know exactly how they do it, but it's almost like they choose some spot, put those people there, fill it back in towards it, and then have the extra one as overflow for like the very last people or something like that. Because it's not like a just one or the other. They definitely have a spot, and then they go up, and then they go back out sometime, but you don't know when that's going to be. It's not like if you get there on Thursday, definitely you're going to be such and such. Like,
no, it's
no predicting it like that.
It's a bit of a crapshoot. Yeah, that's kind of where I thought it was, and I just didn't know if you guys could offer any.
Yeah,
no, I mean, my feeling.
I mean, you're not going to be put all the way out for sure. I think for sure.
Yeah, I think if you get there, like, say, no, I don't know, because I was going to say maybe like really. Like late on Wednesday, you get a good one. But like I've talked to people who have said I got in line at Thursday at 4 a.m. and I've gotten here at Wednesday at 2 p.m. and they've always been in just crazy scenarios. So I don't think it matters that much. I mean, some people are going to swear we're wrong and maybe they're right, but I have not noticed anything. But
there's not a predictable enough strategy for it for us to be able to tell you after this many years, because it seems like it does change, and they change their strategy. So
yeah,
I don't know. All I can tell you is hope you don't get put out by pod 13.
Well, it's not that big of a deal. Even if you do, I mean, it sucks.
If you do, that's when you get there. That is for the people who get there the very last. Like that's like you got there on Friday, or something.
But but if you're one of those people, remember what we said earlier. Make it what you can make it. Like you're also going to buy other stuff that other people aren't. They do try to make. There's all kinds of unofficial vendors on the outside of the area which you can visit that are probably going to be closer to you. I mean, yes, it's going to suck like having to walk 20 minutes.
And there are little ride things too. Like, I mean, they cost money, of course, but if you
have fun. Just sitting around on those things, are you kidding me? That's fun. I mean, it is a little pricey sometimes, but it is fun.
Yeah, and it can be worth it if you're actually lost, too.
Yeah, Jared and I had a great ride that one time. That was so funny, man.
Yeah, that taxi definitely bailed us out last year.
Like Jared and I basically bailed out of a show that we wanted to see to go back to camp to get something very important, and kind of bummed, we're like, oh, we got to leave the show, but Jared actually definitely like rushed us through, flagged this person down.
I had to negotiate with the guy because I was like,
all this negotiation.
I was like, look, dude, I don't have the cash on me right now, but if you take me to my camp, I need to come back, so I'm going to be paying you double. So like, it's worth it. I just have to pay you in the middle of the ride. And he was like, Okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
So you can make it happen, and we got there and back within within a set. I mean, it didn't take us very long. I mean, we were pretty far out. So
I really thought that you guys weren't going to make it, and
I did too. But that guy was
from you.
around. Because we explained, man, we're trying to go back to the show. Like, we're just trying to get back, and he's like, all right, and just like shooting.
It was a lot of fun.
Yeah. And sometimes they'll race each other and stuff. That like they have fun doing it too.
Yeah, my point again with that is experience anything and everything that sounds cool. I mean, there's a Ferris wheel, ride one of these things, like just do stuff.
But if you're afraid of heights, don't let somebody
don't
talk you into doing it, like I did for Jared, and I felt so bad. Like
but
I had an incredible time on that Ferris wheel, but I felt guilty that I made him go on it.
But maybe just like some parting pearls here, from nutrition to how to use your phone, like just some like parting advice here before we
don't
move
be
on
a
to
slave to your
section.
phone.
Yeah,
because I mean, it's nice to have, and now there's these, portable chargers and stuff that you can buy, which those are handy. You can charge it in your car. Blah blah blah. You might want to have it so you can meet up with people, but just use it a lot less than use it in regular life.
Yeah, and don't be out there hitting stuff for the gram. Don't be hitting poses and trying to be an influencer.
Just actually experience your time there, and don't be just glued to your phone the whole time.
Because I'm telling you, Bonnaroo is not
lame. It's boring. You don't want to be that person. Like, take a couple pictures, whatever. Like, I know Ann and I have always had like a hard time. My best friend Ann, we always have a hard time capturing our Bonnaroo pictures. We went to so many Bonnaroos together, and we would struggle to get a one photo together, because it's like you just forget. Like, if you're really having that much fun, it's not on your mind to like just have your phone out the whole time, especially flipping through Instagram and blah blah blah. I mean, granted, they have like interactive things where you can tweet them and you can hashtag them and stuff. Sure, if you want to do that like once or something, but just
or even one a day,
try putting it down. You know what I mean? And just talking to people.
Oh, and as far as like eating and nutrition, like obviously try the vendors out. Like I think I like to eat it like at least one vendor a day. I mean, that doesn't always happen. Sometimes it's less, sometimes it's more, but that can be fun. But as far as like what you bring, if you're concerned about like, I don't know what kind of food to bring or whatever, I mean, it's going to depend, of course, on what you like, but stuff like, pastas sit very well in a cooler, stuff that you can eat cold. Like, think of what's good as leftovers. I mean, because you're not going to have access to cooking anything. Well, you can have
you can bring your little stove or whatever.
Right, and what you should, if you have like a little stovetop, little camping thing, especially something that can, boil water or have a griddle on it, like then of course your options go into stuff like pancakes and eggs and, soups that you can heat up and any number of hot cocoa things or whatever, if you like stuff like that. And but honestly, we typically like to do, I feel like our general vibe is lots of snacks, because let's be real, like your body just behaves differently. Like you're not wanting to sit down and eat in a normal, meal every single time, but like lots of sandwich stuff. I try to bring lots of like granolas and otherwise very healthy snacks. I'm not trying to just sit around and eat potato chips. Like I try to make sure it's all fruit stuff and, bags of cut fruit and, yogurt and, I mean, I don't know, but the stuff that like, again, you got to think that it's going to have to be stuff that either sit well for a long time in the cooler, or is stuff, of course, that can sit in a pantry, like, sandwiches. And
think about stuff that you actually feel like eating. Like if you hate granola bars, think that you're just going to start liking them when you're sitting in 95-degree heat, because
you're just going to not eat.
Like you're just going to waste your money. Like think about stuff that you actually feel like eating and bring that, like if it's the difference between eating something at all and something healthy that you think you should eat, like eat whatever it is, because sometimes people do that is they'll bring stuff and they're like, what is this? Why did I bring this? I don't want this. And then they'll just like set it aside and just not eat anything. They'll just drink a beer, and then that's much worse, right? Like
of course.
So our new thing is like relying more on the vendors and less on cooking, because what we had been doing is like trying to have this whole idea like, oh yeah, we're gonna cook and blah blah blah, but then it's like you bring all this shit and then you cook like one time or whatever, and then
guys,
so then you
cooking in the middle of the day at Bonnaroo
like
is
spent
not
all this money on groceries, and then you end up spending money on vendors. So it's like almost for my personal personality, it's better just to like choose one or the other all the way. Like either bring all your stuff that you're gonna cook and only cook, or only go to the vendors and just bring some snacks or whatever.
I'll tell you
rather
one
than
quick
spending both the money.
Instance of that was the people we camped with last year who love them to death. They were so much fun and looking forward to seeing them again this year. Hey, Sydney and Zach. But they at one point had like a whole bunch of bacon.
Yeah, like a 2
and they were
pound
just
thing
like,
of bacon.
dude, we have to cook all this. And Jess is a vegetarian, so here we are. It's like 2 p.m. It's fucking hot. They're making all of this bacon, and it's like, I can eat bacon until I'm
Jared
full.
can eat an incredible amount
But
of
I'm
bacon.
telling you, I got full, and there was still plenty of bacon left. So it's like,
so they just had all this bacon
like
that they had to
tend to
cook
happen.
at once, or it was going to go bad. Yeah. So
So like we were saying, it's just cold.
That's another
snacks.
thing on Sunday. If you aren't a vegetarian, walk around your campsite and score free hamburgers, hot dogs, bacon all day long.
Real.
Because everyone is trying to get rid of their last stuff that they bought grocery wise, and they're just giving them away. Or they'll give you they'll be like 3 hamburgers for $1 or something like that.
Oh yeah, it's remarkable sometimes how that is. Like, but yeah, as far as food goes, like I wish I could, I would like for us to sit here and be like, bring sandwiches, bring lunch meat, bring this specific thing, like bring fruit. The real answer is like, of course, like what Jess said, is bring what you're going to eat, but err on the side of the stuff that maybe slightly healthier that you like. Yeah. I mean, because you are going to need it, or you can do like Jess said and just eat out of vendors all the time, which is honestly perfectly acceptable and doable. I think I definitely lean towards the vendors a little bit. Like I like having like I said, I keep saying like sandwiches and chips, and that's what I like having at the campsite. I like granola and I like fruit. And there's other little things that I feel like we bring sometimes.
Don't bring too many bananas because those things are bad
after
Friday. After Friday, you don't have a banana. I guarantee you don't have a banana left.
Just on a side note, the food vendors are good. Like I enjoy eating food, so that's a part of it for me. It's like try different foods and stuff. So
I will say that I did do it one year though, where I didn't eat at the vendor at all. Like not one.
I've never done that.
I did it one year because I was like actually dead ass broke. Like I had zero money, and I spent $9 that whole time going around.
Nice.
It's possible if you really are on a budget and you really can only bring your own stuff. Like you can do it.
Well, yeah, of course.
But if you have like a little bit of cash to spend, like try some vendors. They're fucking good. There's people that really put some work into these food there.
Yeah.
But yeah, just beyond food, any last things? Because
wait, are we going to talk about let's talk about a couple snack items that we always have.
Oh, your favorite snack items?
Favorite snacks, quick.
Oh, favorite snacks, quick take.
Mine is flavor blasted goldfish. I have to have those. These are my Bonnaroo go-to snacky. I love them.
Mine's going to be 2 different things, but I mean, the craisins I already mentioned, but like some mini sweet peppers with cream cheese.
Really man.
Oh, those are good. And good snacky.
Motherfucking Capri Suns. I get like 2 boxes of Capri Suns. I love them so much.
Oh, also those vegan jerkies are pretty clutch too. I love those.
Dark Dome.
It's weird. I guess even though I keep saying it, I really just like the different granola bars. Like I get like the peanut butter ones. I get the straight just honey and oat. Like I get all these. So that's probably like I think they're super convenient. I actually really enjoy them. You can also break them up into. I also like parfaits and stuff, so you can break them up for some like granola crunch. You can just put them in your bag. Like you can eat 2 of them for like kind of a pretty filling meal. I mean, not like it's not a meal, but I really like especially like the little it's like Nature's Valley or Nature's Harvest, and it's just a straight up like almost like horse food, oats and honey.
You can usually find some of those for free at Bonnaroo too.
Yes, like I love those.
And another rule of thumb: be wary of dairy. Like milk and yogurt, like that stuff has to be kept at a certain temperature. So please. Also, another quick tip for that: dry ice. a block of dry ice will last you a couple of days, and you can actually have like freeze pops. Like I've had a popsicle out of a cooler that has dry ice, like on a Saturday at Bonnaroo,
which is
tells you how effective
crazy.
That is.
Yeah.
And they sell ice on the grounds. I mean, you guys should probably assume that, but if you don't, like, you can buy ice. It's not cheap, but it's not.
It's definitely expensive. It's like $6 a bag.
Is it really? I didn't realize it was quite that much.
It's $6 a bag.
Jesus.
So come into Bonnaroo with a lot of ice. Like, make the last gas station stop before you get in there. Make sure you got your ice as stocked as possible before you get into Bonnaroo.
Yeah.
But then you'll need to buy some the next day, pretty much anyways. But it'll be better if you have it.
Understand that it is.
Yeah.
I would say for my last little tip is, and this kind of goes back to camping, but it's also a general rule of thumb: clean up after yourself. Like when we break down our camps, we go through our camps like as if you were searching the woods for a body. You know what I mean? Like we walk through side, more or less side by side, and we try to pick up all of our little snipped ends from zip ties, and any little rubber bands, any hair tie, anything that you've left, any caps, any things from a can of Coke. Like just pick it up. This is, again, it's a shared space. It's a farmland. It needs to be viable for the future, not just for future Bonnaroos, but just for the future of life. And it's a really big deal. I mean, it is like clean up after yourself, like both the last day, which I would very much recommend your process be get everything you need in your car, like all of the stuff you're taking with you, and then just literally fine tooth comb your campsite for trash. Like that would be super cool of you. And there are a lot of us that do it, and hopefully it's the majority of us. So.
Yeah, just keep in mind, you're in nature. This isn't actual farmland. They don't farm on it anymore, but still, it's a real ground. Like, we're living with Mother Nature. This is a living thing.
Part of being able to do it year after year is sustaining the space and keeping it healthy.
And they're very big about that. Like, they always put up statistics of how much was recycled from the previous year, and you'll see that around. And that's all centered around that's the whole idea, right? I mean, again, it's this hippie fest, quote unquote, whatever. So you'll see a lot of it, which is why I don't say, make sure you don't litter, because of course, make sure you don't litter. Don't just throw your fucking bottle on the ground. But so obviously, as you're living your general life, both inside and outside of Bonnaroo, be cognizant. But and
that also goes. Oh, sorry.
No. I'm just saying specifically at the end, just remember, when you break down your campsite, there are tons of things that you may not realize are there that you can barely see, but are. And a big one, again, is the clipped ends of zip ties, stuff like that just blends in, or rubber bands, or again, just whatever. Just be cool, be clean about yourself.
Also, just goes don't bring more stuff. I know we listed all these things, but just don't bring more stuff than you actually need. And especially if you're flying there, don't go in buying every little thing that you possibly need just to trash it at the end. That's not the way to go about festivals or just life in general. Try to be minimalist with it, but smart, Yeah. Also, one last thing I just want to say before we close this is, especially being the girl of the group here, is we're not there to be a fashion show. You can use this as a time to, be creative with your wardrobe, wear crazy shit that you can't wear in regular life, blah, blah, blah. But, don't be so hung up on that you aren't having fun. Because I see girls sometimes doing that, and they look all uncomfortable in their expensive shit, and they have hot boots on, and it's 100 degrees, and whatever. All they're worried about is their selfie. Come on, just have fun. You know what I mean? Feel yourself, look cute, whatever you want to do. But, don't make that the reason you're going. You know what I mean?
Because you're not going to enjoy it. You're not going to enjoy it the same. It's not like you're going to ruin my time. I know we're saying, don't be that person. That sounds so negative, and I don't mean it that way. I know that Jess and Jared don't either. We're not you Instagram influencers or people who are just too caught up in their phones. You are ruining it for people. And some people have that opinion. I don't. But you are ruining it for yourself, I would say.
Right, yeah.
And that's the only thing that actually matters. Fuck what I think or whoever else may have some sort of opinion about what you're doing. That's not the point. The point is that, like I was saying before, the experience is about what the experience that you seek and how you go about it. And if you're too caught up in other things, it's not going to blow your mind the same way that it could. You're not going to
And if you're too worried about what you're looking like, then you're worried how you look while you're dancing, and then you're afraid to dance during your favorite band or whatever, and then it just snowballs from there. That's not fun. You don't want to do that to yourself.
And kind of my parting thing is kind of similar to that, but I do want to throw in just 2 little mini ones real quick that are kind of fun.
Yeah.
Always have a designated meetup area inside Bonnaroo.
So crucial.
And don't change it.
Yeah, pick the big flaming pig. Pick there used to be bobbleheads. Like by a stage, by a certain by the Ferris wheel, whatever it is. Find a space and
don't pick the mushroom though. It's too hard.
Yeah, because sometimes you can just cruise by that space and people are there, or it's just an easy way to meet up with people when your phones aren't working.
Yeah.
There's that one. Timing your walks and beers is just fun for me. So, last year we were about a 2-beer walk from Bonnaroo. It's just fun. It's a fun time. But yeah, anyways, the real thing I wanted to say is like, just a general piece of advice. Like, this is your opportunity to be your best you. Okay, these 4 days that you have in front of you, take the opportunity to do whatever it is you want to do or whoever it is you want to be. Like, here's your chance. Like, because no one's going to judge you. Everyone's going to support you. You're going to find nothing but positive vibes. You're going to find nothing but positive feedback from what you're doing, whether it's hula hooping, whatever, painting. I've seen people use this opportunity for all kinds of things, but like, here's your
just having fun, just partying. Just if you want to get it out and you work a stressful job or whatever, just have fun.
I know plenty of people like that too, that like a very straight, buttoned up life, but like this is their release valve, and if that's what it is for you, then use that. But and like, that's what makes it so good, is that so many people doing that and understanding that idea. And then you get the best of people. Like, you see the best of people, and it's really inspiring, and it's why we go back even if we don't like the lineup.
Yeah,
like that. It's that's the kind of thing that.
And use that as inspiration for the rest of your life too.
Right. Yeah.
Don't just like let it be a microcosm.
And that's was kind of the last thing I was going to say is like it's had an effect on me, and because you always ask yourself, well, why am I not like that? Always, and it really helps you to experience what it could be like if you were, and it really gives you a jumping point to take those things that you learn and bring them back into your real life. So man, be your best you. That's my piece of advice.
Yes.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think this is actually just exactly to your point. And to end on a positive note, it's about the vibe, like the Roo vibe, the radiate positivity. I think we'd be remiss to not throw the Bonnaroo catchphrase out there, and it just be like, you'll find who you want to find. Like, you'll find the vibes that you're putting out. So if you think like, oh, I couldn't possibly be XYZ, or I don't know about this, or I'm scared to be that, like, you will find that reciprocated. It's not just like people won't care. You will find like people who you resonate with on a very cool level if you put yourself out there. So not only don't be afraid because you're not going to be judged, but be confident because you're going to be like reciprocated with. Like, you're going to have like not just like okay vibes. You're going to have a really good time with people if you allow yourself to. It's not just.
I'm getting so excited.
Yeah, notice like we do have another episode where we're going to discuss the lineup, but notice like most of what gets us excited about this festival is what we just talked about. We didn't mention a single show. Well, we mentioned artists, but we didn't talk about like, oh, go see this show. It's not about that. I mean,
which is coming good too. But
right, it's coming. But
this is why we come here, for real.
Yeah, that's why we keep coming back at the very least. It's all about the stuff we just talked about. So that's what I'd like to leave everybody with. Just be positive, be nice, have fun, be brave.
Yeah.
And so we're going to take a quick bathroom break. You do the same. If
come back,
if you actually want to know what's playing and the music, then we're going to be covering that in part 2. So, guys, for the time being, you're good to glow. We're going to put a pin in it, and we'll come back.
And start radiating positivity now.
Part 2. Check us out.